everybody to another edition of the Cobra News. I hope everyone's been having a really great Friday. This is the Friday edition. We're going to keep things short and sweet, and we're going to cover a spread of the news from today. To start off with, I suppose we will go for the biggest sort of name in the news right now. It's just something that I wanted to cover from, I wanted to bring you this piece of information from Elon's little, talk that he did over here. He talks about a lot of things in this video. This is going to be in the stream resources, so obviously do take a look at the entirety of the video in your own time. But what I wanted to kind of cover today was he touched on crypto. Specifically, he touched on crypto payments for Twitter and what that's going to look like. But while he talked about that, he did kind of talk about he made a soft prediction for a crypto crash in this video, which I think is quite interesting. So I suppose we'll open with this. I'm going to put the volume down to like 50% as I normally do. When I hit play, I do hope it's not too loud. If it is, someone in the live audience who do these live, do let me know. If it's on the YouTube, it should be completely fine. If you're joining us for the first time, do make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. So with that all said, let's get into it.
Of our insurance bill, we're hoping we'll go down. You didn't. One question: is this Twitter deal going to get closed? Do you think? What are the chances here?
Well, on a lot of factors here. I'm still waiting for some sort of logical explanation for the number of sort of spam accounts on Twitter, and Twitter is refusing to tell us. So, this just seems like a strange thing.
Wait, sorry. Are they refusing to tell you, or you don't think they really? I mean, chance they may just have no idea.
They claim that they do know.
Yeah.
And they claim that they've got this complex methodology that only they can understand. You stir this cauldron, and then you throw the knuckle bone, and and then suddenly it comes to you in a dream. I don't know. But there should be some, objective way to assert the thing. The material public statement.
The threshold issue.
It's a material adverse misstatement. If they in fact have been vociferously claiming less than 5% of fake or spam accounts, but in fact it is 4 or 5 times that number, or perhaps 10 times that number. This is a big deal. It's not. You say the house has less than 5% termites. That's an acceptable number. But if it turns out it is 90% termites, that's not okay. This house is made mostly of termites. Termites leave. Literally, your house will disappear because it's mostly made of termites. So that would obviously just not be appropriate. So in making the Twitter offer, I was obviously reliant upon the truth and accuracy of their public filings. And if those filings are not accurate, it's simply it's not. You can't pay the same price for something that is much worse than they claimed.
And they say, Elon, life's a negotiation. So at a different price, it might be a.
I mean, so, at the end of the day, acquiring it has to be fixable, and fixable, with reason frame and without revenues collapsing along the way and all that sort of stuff. And so, I really need to see how these things are being calculated, and it can't be some deep mystery that is like more complex than the human soul or something like that. It's got to be, I think we can apply the scientific method to this and try to figure out what's really going on. And Twitter's revenue is primarily dependent, I think 70% or some of that order, on brand advertising as opposed to specific purchase advertising. This is a big deal because brand advertising is not a purchase that was from that. So it's basically, how much mind share, or like basically if you're a big company, how often do they hear your name? It's as opposed to something where you can directly measure the outcome. So that means that they're somewhat going on faith. And if that faith is undermined or reduced because of the reality of the situation coming to the fore, then Tesla's revenue, or Twitter, starts with a T, Twitter's revenue will be significantly impaired, and that's a major problem.
Elon, did you have a chance to your negotiation?
Like I said, I was reliant upon their public filings. So to the degree that their public, and this is normal for a public company. If you make a formal filing, that is what investors are relying on, whether they are making an acquisition offer or simply buying some shares. So the accuracy of these filings is important, whether you're buying one share or the whole company. And so,
Come on, Elon, talk about crypto. You're making me look bad.
it's a big deal.
Or do they not have the technical capabilities to solve the bot? Because
I don't know.
Or I guess this was released and was the possibility of Twitter becoming payments included, maybe perhaps even Doge or something. This seems to me, based on David at PayPal, pretty brilliant idea. What's the vision there in terms of if you were able? What would it look like if I could add Jason to add Elon Musk, $10 something, we're splitting a check or something.
Sure. Well, for those that have used WeChat, I think WeChat's actually a good model. If you're in China, it's basically, you kind of live on WeChat. It does everything. It's sort of like Twitter plus PayPal plus a whole bunch of other things, and all roll into one with actually a great interface, and it's really an excellent app. And we don't have anything like that outside of China. So I think such an app would be really useful. And just like the utility of it, of sort of a spam-free thing where you can make comments, you can post videos, you can, I think it's important for content creators to have a revenue share. Now this does not need to be done on Twitter. It could be done from something that's created from scratch. So it could be something new. So really, but I think this thing needs to exist, whether it is converting Twitter to be the sort of like kind of all-encompassing app that like I said, everything from digital town square, ideas are debated, maximally trusted and inclusive, and at a point where you sort of have a high trust situation, then payments, whether it's crypto or fiat, can make a lot of sense. We just want something that's incredibly useful and that people love using. But it's either convert Twitter to that or start something new. Those are the two. But it does need to happen somehow.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because price of Twitter is pretty high, and you've built a couple of companies, and some engineers like to come for you, and you've now gone through the intellectual. If you're looking at the two choices now, Twitter, all these, your own version, which one are you leaning towards? Because I have watched you build a couple of companies. The products have turned out pretty good. So is it easier for someone like you?
I mean, it's certainly my default inclination is to start things from scratch. I mean, I don't buy things like there's still this sort of like SpaceX was started from scratch. In the case of Tesla, it was like 5 people. Still, this guy Mark Everhard, who's the worst guy I've ever worked with, who tries to claim like sole credit essentially for creating Tesla. And if he's so damn great, why didn't he just go, create another car company when he was fired? But anyway,
well, I mean, that's a pretty good story. conversation about the story.
Yeah.
I said, "How's it going, pal?" And you said, "Well, it turns out the Roadster parts and get together."
Yeah.
And I said, "I gave you 100. If you make 2,000 of these, you're going to lose $80 million." And yeah, or double that. I mean, they basically the parts.
Yeah, that covers the whole crypto payments aspect on Twitter. Very interesting. As I was watching this video, I was scrolling through Twitter, and Elon just tweeted to say that they are building a new litigation department in as a part of SpaceX, as a part of Elon's whole sort of collective. Let me see if I can pull up the actual tweet. He says Tesla is building. It's not SpaceX. It's Tesla. Is building a hardcore litigation department where we directly initiate and execute lawsuits. The team will report directly to me. Please send 3 to 5 bullet points describing evidence of exceptional ability. Justice@tesla.com. So who knows? Maybe the really astute legal people in our community. If that's you, send an email over to justice at what was it? Justice@tesla.com. Send an email with 3 to 5 bullet points of exceptional ability. But yeah, it seems like we could potentially see adoption or adaptation, I suppose, the addition of crypto utility to Twitter down the line. If it is decided that this isn't it's not too monumental a task to actually get done, then we could see that happen in the future. Honestly, at the rate that mass adoption is going, I mean, we're going to get into a little bit more news about mass adoption too. I feel like it's not too far out of the realms of reality. Elon talks about how he wants to clear out all the bots and stuff like this. It sounds like what they're trying to do is, from a technology standpoint, make the community around Twitter as clean and human and authentic as possible, right? And a part of that push, in my opinion, authentic human interaction, you can't get more authentic and trust verifiable than blockchain, really, can you? So yeah, as a part of that overall umbrella of a push, I think it's very much in line, and I think we have exciting things to look forward to, guys. Now, with that said, let's take a look at the mass adoption bit, right? Because I feel like that ties into it a little bit. It ties into this piece of news, this direction, a bit more than the other stories. So let's take a look at Crypto Potato. We've got Andrew Thruvalis giving us this sauce, right? Over 10 million Cash App accounts have bought Bitcoin. Jack Dorsey's company saw significantly fewer Bitcoin purchases compared to last year, due in large part to the 2022 bear market. So more than 10 million people have used Cash App to actually buy Bitcoin. 10 million accounts, 10 million people, right? That's a lot. That's big. And Cash App, that's pretty much mass adoption. People use this on a daily basis. A lot of people in the States, especially, it's very, very popular. I would say, around it's gaining as a brand, the reputation, the ubiquity of it. You see it everywhere. You could make the case that it's taking over PayPal. I mean, potentially in terms of usage. You see it all the time. So, according to Block's Q1 2022 shareholder letter, the figures right now we're standing at 10 million Cash App accounts that have transacted with the end goal of purchasing crypto. The app generated $624 million in gross profit for the company. 43 million of which came from Bitcoin. Crazy. Wow, that's a significant chunk out of, remember, this is the net profit for the company, right? Over 2022. 43 million of 624 million came from Bitcoin sales. If you're smarter and quicker than me, leave a comment in the comments. Let me know how many, what percentage of that is, because my brain will not compute the math right now. The company states that it is focused on expanding awareness and access to Bitcoin amongst its customers in order to bolster the network's adoption. blockhead Jack Dorsey, who was also the CEO of Twitter, and he stepped down in May. He's very bullish on Bitcoin becoming the world reserve currency. Follow Jack Dorsey on on Twitter if you, because he's a very interesting and very intelligent man, and he's very bullish on Bitcoin, right? So that's always a good thing. Bullish on mass adoption equals Dharma approves. In April, Cash App announced its integration with the Lightning Network, granting customers access to immediate and free Bitcoin transactions, no gas. It also announced its new Get Paid in Bitcoin feature, which converts its customers' recurring paychecks within the app into Bitcoin automatically. Take a look at that, man. I mean, of course, with things like this, you are definitely going to see 10 million Cash App accounts because what is it that he's done, right? It's not just a case of, oh, what, yeah, you want crypto, yeah, all right, yeah. Like, it's not just that. He's thinking about what can we do to give value to our community who wants to use Bitcoin. You can get paid in Bitcoin if you want to. You can convert your recurring paychecks into Bitcoin automatically within the app. Don't even worry about it. We've integrated that functionality for you, right? And that goes to show when the team behind anything, behind a project, behind an idea, if they're bought in to what it is they're trying to accomplish, then they are much more likely to accomplish whatever it is that they're trying to accomplish because they're bought in, of course. But if you're not, then this is why you see companies. You're gonna see so much mass adoption type news soon, guys. You're gonna see so many companies attempt to transition into the world of Web3. You're gonna see all these, oh hey fellow kids, look at me, like these degen corporate entities trying to muscle into. I mean, we've seen it quite a lot now, but I'm talking about the Web3 push, the DeFi philosophy push, right? You're gonna see a lot of corporate entities kind of try to muscle their way in, and they're going to fail. And the reason they're going to fail is because they don't believe in what they're doing. There's a reason that this has seen so much success, right? Mass adoption, so bigly, is because of this guy, literally because of this guy, and the fact that he's very bullish on it. And so he makes sure that the integration is a priority. Integration needs to be smooth. The functionality needs to be useful for the community. He says, we have experienced growing momentum with customers bringing their paychecks into Cash App and hope this feature will expand awareness of our direct deposit capabilities. Nearly half of Block's net revenue, which is $3.96 billion in quarter one of 2022, technically came through Bitcoin purchases. That's ridiculous. However, this revenue is mostly discounted as 3% of it resulted in gross profit for the company. Okay, but that's still, for mass adoption, right? It's still good. What does that tell? That tells me that the volume of transaction with Bitcoin involved was extremely high, which shows that a lot of people were at least trying to transact Bitcoin. The distinction is important. The company's net revenue decreased by 22% year on year when including Bitcoin, but increased by 44% when not. This indicates a drastic decrease in Bitcoin revenue overall, likely driven by the contrasting bull and bear market between the first quarters of 2021 and 22 respectively. Block added Bitcoin to its own balance sheet through quarter 4 of 2020 and Q1 2021 in batches of $50 million and $170 million respectively. This is all just like, data. This is all block data, right? In a recent interview with CNBC, Jack reiterated his thesis that Bitcoin is the only candidate worthy of being the native currency of the internet. That's big. When we open, this is the dude right here, that's Jack Dorsey, when we open this up to conversation, I think this is a really interesting kind of topic. I'd like to pick every thoughts on it, but that's for the live segment. If you're watching this on YouTube, do join the Discord and you can be a part of these sessions live. If you join our Discord, there's a link down in the description below. And we do these pretty much every day. You can be a part of the conversations, be a part of the news, right? Now he's made the claim and he's stuck to the claim. His thesis that Bitcoin is the only candidate, the only coin worthy of being deemed the native currency of the internet. He's also dismissed working on any other cryptocurrencies at Block. No Ethereum, no altcoins, no alts for this guy. He believes that Bitcoin alone is more than capable of scaling and more than capable of higher functionality of its own accord. Very interesting. That's another really interesting point. I'd like to get a spread of opinion from the room further down the line as well on that. Do you feel like he's maybe limiting himself a little bit by not considering altcoins? Or do you, like Jack Dorsey, believe that Bitcoin is the only candidate worthy and that it is definitely capable of scaling? His company is currently building a decentralized Bitcoin exchange as well as a global Bitcoin mining system. So that's news on Shep. Mass adoption, we love to see it. Jack Dorsey, we love to see it. It's amazing. It's really indicative of the shift that we're seeing in the world. And I personally cannot wait what the future holds, right? There's a lot of great things in the future. All of the technologies that we have seen become a part of our daily lives now have kind of taken on a life of their own. They're older now, a little bit wiser. You know, we're in year 1, year 2 of Bitcoin. We're a little bit down the line now, and things change, things grow, things improve upon themselves and get stronger, or they get weaker and they die out. We'll just have to wait and see. But now we're a little bit further down the line, down the timeline, the roadmap of mass adoption, which means that now we can take a look back at the beginnings and take a look at where we are now. Use that momentum to kind of figure out where we're going in the future, right? Because we have enough data now. I mean, there are, you know, if we're talking about the future, there's two directions we can go. We can talk about Terra Luna and the scary crash that happened and what Mike Novogratz might be or might not be regretting about all of that stuff. Or we can talk about the Ethereum upcoming layer 2. I think the more positive news because, you know, new technologies, new functionality. This merge is happening. This merge is definitely happening. They've compared this to switching out an airplane engine mid-flight before, right? And I've said, listen, we need to let these guys take as much time as they need, and then take more time because Ethereum Layer 2 could be the ultimate game changer, but it's also got so much riding on it because if it fails, that's going to be so much ammunition, so much more ammunition for detractors from mass adoption, for the Janet Yellens of the world, right? For the U.S. Treasury secretaries of the world. It's going to be a lot of ammunition. So a little bit of news on this. The Ethereum, just for context, if you guys are not aware, this is about moving from proof of work to proof of stake, potentially gasless transactions. Right now, there's the proof of work model causes congestion, you know, because you got to wait for miners. And to get through congestion, you have to pay really high prices to transact. Sometimes you could be transacting. The cost of transaction could be higher than the value of whatever it is you're trying to sell, which is a problem. So these guys are trying to solve this problem, right? And there have been constant delays since the moment they launched, since the moment they kind of announced this initiative. But like I said, that's a very good thing. Now, it seems like Ethereum is on track for a testnet merge in June. The testnet merge, basically they're trying to merge the mainnets, right? The mainnet merge is what they're trying to do. But they're going to do like a shadow test of this on a testnet, which is a kind of like a blockchain, like a copy of a blockchain, which isn't connected to anything. So it's not live, if it makes sense. So a network on which you can test things. When you're, you know, if you get into our Cobra Solidity guide down the line, you know, once we create the boot camp as well, you'll learn a lot about testnets and how important they are in testing things before you implement them. But basically, I digress. We're going to see a testnet merge that will allow developers to work on any potential risks or bugs ahead of the move to a proof of stake network. Ethereum's Ropsten public testnet will undergo a merge next month ahead of a rollout of the main network. This is according to GitHub developer activity. Let's take a look at the horse's mouth. I'm going to put this in the chat for you guys, in the live chat. That is not the live chat. Where's the... Oh, God. There it is. Okay. I'll edit that out. That's all good. Live chat. There you go. Take a look at the GitHub. And hopefully you take something good away from that. The merge refers to Ethereum's long-awaited move to a proof-of-stake network from its current proof-of-work design. After the shift, transactions on the Ethereum blockchain would be processed and validated by stakers instead of miners, which would, in turn, faster and more eco-friendly network. That's a whole can of worms. I'd like to cover that on a different episode. Switching the blockchain from one consensus mechanism to another is a complex challenge and requires multiple tests on testnets like Lupston before they are finally developed on the mainnet. Consensus mechanisms, basically, they're just talking about proof of work or proof of stake. Those are the two primary consensus mechanisms, the primary means by which these networks reach consensus for transactions. Separately, Ethereum developers increased bug bounties to up to $500,000 worth of ETH or DAI earlier this week. These are awarded to developers who find vulnerabilities or bugs on Ethereum on both public testnets and the mainnet. The Ropsten merge is expected to take place on June 8th. Estimates for a rollout on mainnet are in the final quarter of this year. A few features, such as the ability to withdraw staked ETH, will have to wait. Yeah, I will wait as long as I need to. Honestly, I want all the functionality, and I want it to be bomb-proof, and I want it to just work seamlessly. That's what I want. So these guys can take all the time and all the resources that I'm completely happy with that. And I'm excited to see what they come up with. You know, it's a bunch of geniuses on this team, so we'll see how it goes. The new development failed to provide much of a bid for Ether, as macro fears continue to hold sway on all risk markets. Okay, cool. So basically, they're saying this news, even though it's quite positive, hasn't really caused any bullish upturn, you know, in Ethereum, in Ether. Sorry, I should say. Let's take a look at the video as well, because these guys from CoinDesk TV usually do a pretty good breakdown of things. So, as I usually do, 50% volume. Do let me know if it's sandblasting your eardrums, and I'll turn the volume up even more. No, I'm joking. Let's go.
Ethereum 2.0 testnet merge. It's coming. It's happening potentially in June. The mainnet gets slated for later this year. But of course, we've heard this time and time again, and there's always been a number of delays, many delays. So I'm going to put the question bluntly to Christy. Is this really going to happen in June?
Well, there's no reason to think that a testnet merge can't happen in June. I mean, we're doing, like, before people get super duper excited, this is a testnet. And what we're doing is we're practicing the merge on a testnet. And the more testnets, so this one is the Ropsten, and then there's going to be the Gurley one, Gurley testnet. And we've been practicing with shadow forks, and we've practiced all these other things. And this is one more test that they're going to run through. And it's scheduled to happen at the beginning of June. No reason to see why not. And if things go sideways, hey, at least it isn't the real merge, which will happen sometime. So if this goes well, then that sometime is more likely to happen. If things go wonky, then yeah, it's going to take a little while. So yeah, Jen, I saw your hand go up.
Well, Christy, doesn't practice make perfect? Don't we want to see practice happening before the actual thing? when I read this story, were you going to say something?
Oh no, I was just going to say better to have things break on a test than break for reals.
It's true. When I read the story, I thought of the Office scene where they have the fire drill and they say, it's happening. What's the procedure? And they're practicing what they would do in a fire drill. And I must say, as much as there have been so many delays, I think the communication has been great. We see so many projects in this space have really ambitious milestones. They don't meet those milestones, which is okay when you're building. But the communication, I feel like when it comes to this merge has been really awesome. I know we saw, I think it was last month, Ethereum developer Tim Baiko said that the merge wouldn't be ready until a few months after June. And this makes sense. If it goes well, I see that timeline happening. So crossing my fingers for this fire drill. But Zach, I'll pass it up to you.
I just wanted to make an that we're talking about practice, but I see Will probably Terry's off.
For those of you that are not, so sorry, I'm a huge NBA nut, so I have to give you the context for this.
Anybody tell you that I miss practice? If a coach say I miss practice and y'all hear it, then that's that. I mean, I might have missed one practice this year, but if somebody say he doesn't come to practice, it can be one practice out of all the practices this year. That's enough. If I can't practice, I can't practice, man. If I'm hurt, I'm hurt. I mean, simple as that. It ain't about that. I mean, it's not about that at all. You know what I'm saying? But it's easy to talk about. It's easy to sum it up when you just talk about practice. We sitting here, I'm supposed to be the franchise player, and we talk practice.
We need to talk about practice.
I mean, listen, we talking about practice. Not a game. We talking about
practice. That's what we're talking about. And with the Ethereum Testnet merge, it seems like they are giving themselves all the time and all the space for all of the practice that they could possibly need, which is leaving me extremely bullish on the state of the world, the state of the DeFi world to come in the future. It's put me in a really, really happy mindset. This is just a really funny meme. I mean, he was going through some crap when this interview happened as well. It's really interesting. Subscribe to Secret Base on YouTube if you haven't already. If you're a sports fan, really, really great content. Just a little plug. But yeah, bullish, major bullish energy. Let's talk about this a little bit more in the discussion. But in the interest of time, I'm just gonna quickly cover my boy Mike Novogratz. Bruh. I don't know if you guys remember. You guys know who this guy is, obviously. He's the famous, 50,000 Bitcoin's gonna reach 50K this year predictor. Tech, like, sort of CEO of Galaxy CN, early investor. You know Mike Novogratz. If you don't, do some research into Mike Novogratz because it's going to inform your sort of context of Bitcoin and the state of Bitcoin and stuff, right? Now, this man, he said, I will get a dollar Luna tattoo at $100. Will that be this year? Will that be 2022? Will that be 2023? Or is it such a bad prediction that we just should not be inking ourselves about it at all? I guess everyone knows. Wow. Theranos, Doko. Oh, okay, that's a mess. So we got Martin Shkreli. Yeah. I suppose, guys, for context, what happened with Luna, unless you were living under like a really, really big anti-crypto rock for the last 2 weeks, you probably would have heard about Luna and the crash, and so many people were affected so badly, and Do Kwon and the Terra Luna Foundation and all of that stuff, they've been in the news. Mike Novogratz was very bullish. He got a tattoo, and this crypto crash happened, right? The crash of Luna. There was a lot of conspiracy around it. People were talking about, people being me, I was also talking about this quite a lot, about, I don't know if I should name the companies because of the YouTube algorithm, but there was talk about manipulation and how this was a planned attack and all of this stuff to a lot of speculation around it. It was just causing a lot of FUD, a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and a lot of pain for a lot of regular, normal investors, not these big, big whales and stuff like that. There was a lesson to be learned about risk management and about the diversification of your portfolio when it comes to investment. But it was also just a really sad situation overall. The crypto crash has cost billionaire Mike Novogratz millions, but he's keeping the tattoo still, apparently. He's still a proponent of crypto, which makes sense to me. I mean, despite the crash, I am still very much a proponent of DeFi, the decentralization of finance. I want to move away from the word crypto a little bit, but DeFi, if done correctly, what Do Kwon, I don't know if he set out to do this, but if the stated purpose of Luna was carried out well, You know, if it was implemented well, if an algorithmic stablecoin is done well, it's not a bad idea, right? An algorithmic stablecoin, it just needs to be done well. And if it's done badly, it hurts people, right? Because that's a whole can of worms for another time as well. Just in brief, what an algo does is it removes the human component from a stablecoin completely. It removes the human component of, like, correction is done by an algorithm rather than a person type thing. So it's true decentralization makes sense, but whatever. That's a whole can of worms. Mike Novogratz went silent for about 10 days, and then he opened up and he explained. He, like a large number of institutional investors and retail investors, watched the prices of the USD stablecoin and its sister token Luna tumble and then crash. From May 9th to May 13th, yeah, I remember when this happened. I think of the Cobras, I think it might have been Chapo that first caught this. He might have been the first. Yeah, I think it was. He was looking at the charts and he texted one of the Cobras and he was like, "Oh, look, this is happening," and it was just a whole mess. I'm sure everyone is going to remember where they were when when they caught wind of the Luna crash, right? $55 billion of market cap disappeared, causing colossal losses to many investors. On social media, testimonies of financial ruin have followed. On Reddit, you see so many people have unalived. It's a mess. And the crypto space was in a panic because beyond the people who lost their savings, the trust that the market had built in recent months with Main Street and regulators took a big hit. The Terra USD Luna or USD crash, the flash crash. The impact is important to Novogratz, and it could take several months to quantify. I like that. But the billionaire, he literally has a tattoo. He was a big fan of Luna, which he promoted by going so far as to tattoo the brand on his left arm. He became a lunatic. I'm officially a lunatic, he says. Thanks at StableQuan, and thank you all my friends at Smith Street Tattoos, the former hedge fund manager wrote on Twitter in January, right up here, showing off the then still fresh tattoo. Let me take the shields down and see if I can get the picture up. No picture? Okay. Megamind meme, no picture. Galaxy Digital is Novogratz's thing, invested in Luna in fourth quarter 2020. The firm did not take this investment lightly. They didn't take that decision lightly, the decision to invest, said the billionaire. While many users on social media wondered whether Novogratz had done his proper due diligence before starting to promote Luna. Because that was really the question. Oh, you invested in Luna? Why? You didn't do your due diligence. Sometimes it's not as simple as that. Due diligence needs to be, well, I mean, I say it's not as simple as that, but do your due diligence and do it more. Do it twice and then compound it and do it 12 times and do it again. And then diversify, right? And then you should be hopefully a little bit safe. Because it's a scary, scary space if you don't know what you're doing. And it can still be a scary space if you halfway know what you're doing. It can be an even scarier space because you're empowered to shoot yourself in the foot with a 45 Magnum instead of like a 9mm, right? But yeah, again, I'm digressing. So Luna and UST are native tokens of the Terra ecosystem. Besides the very popular Bitcoin and all these other super popular altcoins, nearly 13,500 digital currencies have been created. Our team's initial thesis for investing in Luna was centered around the expansion of blockchain-native payment systems. Interesting. At the time, we understood that the Chai app, which was built on Terra, had more than 1.8 million users, and it was a top 5 finance app in South Korea. Intrigued by this project, cool example of real-world use cases in crypto, he then explained that Galaxy Digital's investment, since the investment had happened, the project behind Luna had evolved in the right direction, right? The initial idea was gaining serious traction. This is what they wanted: native blockchain, native payment systems, real-world use cases. 2 years later, Novogratz explained that inflationary pressures and fears of risk caused the debacle of USD, which makes sense a little bit as well. You know, you see something going down, panic, sell out, panic, and it's a panic spiral, and everything just kind of the algorithmic stablecoin UST, whose value is tied to Luna of traditional currencies like the dollar or traditional assets such as gold. The downward pressure on reserve assets coupled with UST withdrawals triggered a stress scenario akin to a run on the bank, the former banker said. The reserves weren't enough to prevent UST's collapse. He said he would keep his tattoo though, so he'd never forget this disaster. He says he also learned the necessary lesson for those who venture into the young and volatile industry that is the crypto Web3 metaverse galaxy. Young and volatile. Young and volatile. I would say with any technology, with any field, with any industry, I've said this time and time again, the way to get the most out of anything or to make the best use of anything, what you really have to do is use it for the intended purpose, right? You can state the purpose of something and then use it incorrectly. You can state to understand the purpose of something and then use it incorrectly. Or you can completely misunderstand the purpose of something and then use it. That's kind of like a commentary on the entirety of like Web3 and DeFi. I feel like if people, it's a little bit, it might be wishy-washy, but I feel like if people's heads and hearts are in the right place, they will see success with anything. That could be a very naive, but if you kind of not even extrapolate it, if you translate that in a very technical or like a very vain way, you can say if people do the thing the way it's meant to be done, then they will see success. But if you use something incorrectly, if you enter this space for the wrong reasons, right, to make a quick buck, to over leverage yourself, like risk too much of your money or your time or your mental resources or your health, right? These are all things you shouldn't be doing. My tattoo will be a constant reminder that venture investing requires humility, says Novogratz. This guy's a billionaire, right? So I would listen to him. If he's telling me that venture investing requires humility, I'd listen. He recommends that investors, there you go, keep a diversified portfolio. Don't hold a bunch of just one thing. Take profits along the way, right? Realistically, cash is king, right? You could have a billion, trillion, bazillion, jillion Bitcoin coins, right? But if you don't, like, what's that? It doesn't matter if the market crashes, you have nothing, right? But if you take profits along the way and diversify those profits, put it in cash, put it in maybe a little bit in fiat, but I'm not a proponent of saving money in fiat at all, because with investment, you're actively losing money. With investment, what am I saying? With inflation, you're actively losing money if you decide to save in fiat. But that's besides the point. Put it in fiat, put it in a bunch of other coins, spread it around, and take profits, right? Have a risk management framework. Incredibly important, Mike Novogratz. I do agree with you completely. Understand, that doesn't mean just don't risk anything. What that means is understand yourself and how much risk you are comfortable with. And then stick to that framework. Create a framework around that. Create a framework around how much risk you can afford, right? How much you can afford to risk, how much you can afford to lose. And then stick to that framework like it's your Bible, like it's your Quran, like it's your Torah. Don't ever deviate from that, right? And understand that all investments happen in a macro framework. You have to think about everything around the decision, not just the decision itself, because it's nowhere near as simple as just the decision itself. There's so many variables to everything that we as humans do. And the markets, oh boy howdy, like this is literally, there is so much that goes into even the tiniest move in the market, right? And the more you read around the markets, the more you understand for the live audience, during the technical analysis section, our TA, Maestro Simon was literally talking about DXY while he was looking at Bitcoin. Like, they were cross-referencing things against other things. Like, that's important. Know the perspective and take a macro look at things, right? He urged future investors to risk only what they could afford. if they want to avoid financial train wrecks of this sort. It's important that less experienced market participants only risk what they are comfortable losing. I've often said people should allocate 1% to 5% of their assets to the space being Web3 and crypto and all of that. Galaxy Digital warned on May 13th that it expects to post a net loss of, okay, yeah, whatever. Crypto's not going away, says Novogratz. This does not mean that the crypto market will bottom and head straight back up. It will take restructuring, a redemption cycle, consolidation, and renewed confidence in crypto. It moves in cycles, right? And we just witnessed a big part of that down, like that second half, that hemisphere, that lower hemisphere is what we saw, right? The crypto community and Galaxy's community is not changing, says Novogratz. He firmly believes, now more than ever, that the crypto revolution is here to stay. Together, we will weather this storm out stronger on the other side. I love that. Through it all, he remains a big supporter of crypto. You know, we're going to see storms, obviously. And I agree. I have no doubt about the future of crypto as well. I have a lot of doubts about the future of quote-unquote crypto. I have no doubts about the future of DeFi, the future of Web3, the future of the decentralization of finance, of everything, and the implementation of blockchain technology into every aspect of human existence. That's something I'm majorly bullish on. With that said, I think that brings us to the end of our, episode. I think this has been a really good one. A lot of interesting things to talk about, to kind of break down. Whatever ideas you guys have, put them in the comments below. If you have any suggestions, put them in the comments. We'll use them, we'll act on them, and we'll improve, right? Do subscribe, do follow us on Twitter, do join the Discord. All the links are down below. I have been your host, Brooklyn, or Dharma, or whatever. You call me Bob. I don't care. It's all good. Thank you for your time today. Enjoy the rest of Brooklyn out. Cobra Lightspeed. Bye-bye.